Good evening. On behalf of the Clovis High Counseling Team, we would like to welcome you to the Clark Parent Night. We appreciate you taking some time this evening to attend, and we hope that you'll find it to be helpful as you and your student makes the transition to Clovis High for the 2022-2023 school year. We're excited to welcome your students to Clovis High, and we know and we understand that the transition to high school can be a big step for many of our students. So we want to encourage you, especially as their parents and guardians, to be involved throughout their time at Clovis High. Counselors will be hosting a number of parent nights and events over the next 4 years to help support you and your student. We have an amazing team here at Clovis High, and we thought we would start by introducing to you the Clovis High administrative team. So you can see here from left to right, we have Mrs. Tao and Mrs. Lodi. They are both learning directors. Mr. Bravo, who is our activities director. Mr. Gill, he is a learning director and he will be our deputy principal next year. Mr. Hardwick is our athletic director. Mr. Hernandez is our current deputy principal, soon to be principal at Clark Intermediate. Mrs. Howes is a learning director, and Mrs. Hanks is our fearless leader and principal here at Clovis High. This is the Clovis area counseling team, and it's important to note that it is area, meaning that we work very closely with our Clark counselors. So you may see some of these faces, they'll be familiar to you. But on the front, bottom left of the picture, you'll see Mrs. Dean, Mrs. Wilson, Mr. No, who's our transitions counselor, and Mrs. Salinas, who is out on maternity leave, and Miss Pereira is filling in for her. On the upper row, we'll see Mr. Deck, Miss Den Hartog, Mr. Reyes. He should look familiar. He's a Clark counselor, as is Mrs. Rangel, Mrs. Frazier, and Mr. Ware. And we represent the Clovis area counseling team. A lot of times people ask what we do as counselors, and we do quite a few things for sure. And when will your student meet with their counselor? So we do a lot of lessons in the classroom. Each grade level, we will go in usually twice a year, usually once in the fall and once in the spring, to teach on a variety of topics. We do have a lot of students visiting us in the counseling center, sometimes individually with student meetings and also with parent meetings. We do workshops in the fall and spring on a variety of topics. We talk about academics and personal issues, college and career exploration, and for sure, what we're primarily going to be speaking about tonight is registering for classes. We consider ourselves advocates for your students, and so if they ever need anything, we encourage them to stop by and say hello. We will be with your student for the 4 years that they're here at Clovis High, so it's a great opportunity to build relationships with their counselor. We are here to talk primarily about registration, and counselors do registration during the month of March. We register one grade level at a time, and so during the week of March 28th through the 31st is the week that we will be registering Clark students, incoming freshmen. So on Monday, we just finished meeting with your students. We did grade level registration presentations in their academic block classes, and we gave them the information that they need to register. And then on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we will be meeting individually with them again with their specific counselor through their academic block classes. And then at the end of the month, really by early April, you will receive as a parent or guardian an email asking you to go into Parent Connect to review the course selection and to approve them. A lot of the information that we'll be talking about tonight is on our website, so you can see that there on the screen. And when we met with them today, we provided them with a number of items. We gave them a copy of their transcript that includes their grades from 7th and 8th grade, specifically 8th grade, the fall semester. We gave them a copy of the graduation rubric, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, the registration form that they'll be filling out and turning into us later this week, and some course recommendations as well. The course recommendations we actually emailed to both students and parents and guardians last week, the week prior to registration. And these are recommendations for some of their core academic classes based on their academic performance while at Clark, as well as teacher recommendations. And I just emphasize that these are recommendations. These are starting points for our conversations with the students. In some cases, students are recommended for multiple honors classes. And so it's going to be really important for you as parents to have those conversations about which classes would be appropriate. And then on the flip side, if you do not see a recommendation for a specific course, please encourage your student to have that conversation with us if there's a class that they're interested in taking. This is the graduation rubric. I'm not going to go over it too much in detail tonight because we will be talking about this in future parent nights as well as in some of our classroom lessons. But it is important to note that it does help students know what they need to do to not only graduate from high school, and you can see all the courses in the second column that's titled CUSD requirements. Those are all the classes that students must complete to get a high school diploma from our district. And then the column just to the right of that are requirements for students who want to be eligible to go straight to a four-year college in the California system. So whether that's a UC or CSU college or university, these are the requirements that they must complete in order to be eligible. And then that final column are courses that are required for those who may want to play sports at a college. And it's important to note there are specific classes that students must complete as well as earn a total of 230 credits minimum. And again, we'll be talking about this throughout the next 4 years. This is a copy of the registration form that we distributed to your students in academic block classes today. And we'll go over some of the decisions that they'll need to make in just a moment. There's information again on our registration website if you would like to refer to that after this evening. We do point out to students, because this is kind of a new concept to them, that there's a letter P or HP next to many of our courses that are taught at Clovis High. And if a course title has the letter P following the title, it means that it's a college preparatory course. And that means it would satisfy some of those CSU, UC college admissions requirements. And then there are some classes that have HP next to their course title. There's only one as an incoming freshman, and I'll point that out in just a moment. But the HP courses are courses that receive an extra grade point. This would apply to all of our advanced placement classes and some of our honors classes. A couple of things to keep in mind when your student is picking their classes. Every student must have a minimum of 6 classes. Some students will have more than that if they choose to do a 0 or 8th period. And it's important to note that students must remain in the courses that they select for the entire year. So as they are selecting their electives in particular, it's going to be really important that they're thoughtful about the courses, the electives that they're choosing, because we are going to ask them to stay in that course for the entire year. There are some situations where students request to transfer out of honors or AP classes. Once the school year starts in the fall, students will not be allowed to transfer out of those courses until after the 4th week. We do that really so that they have a real opportunity to make sure that this is the correct or not correct class. And so we require them to stay through the 4th week of the semester. So as we worked through the registration form, we had them select their core classes, keeping in mind the course recommendations that they received. Students are required to take an English class every year, so they will select either English 9 or English 9 Honors. Some students were recommended for English 9 Honors based on their academic block grades and their overall GPA, as well as teacher recommendations. So you'll want to use those recommendation letters as a reference point. And again, just because a student is recommended for English 9 Honors does not mean that they must. It is an option for them. Students will also take a semester of health. This is a graduation requirement. And because it's one semester, it needs to be paired with another single semester elective. And so students will select either American Cultures or College and Career Readiness. Now, College and Career Readiness is, as you can imagine, a class where students will spend time exploring different college and career opportunities. And then the American Cultures class is more of a history class that explores the different experiences and perspectives of different American cultural groups. And so they can choose either one of those to be paired with the health class. PE, there's a couple of choices for every student. They will either select boys PE, girls PE, or dance PE. There is also the option I'll point out in a moment to take PE during zero period. We get a lot of questions from incoming ninth grade students about athletic PE. And it's important to note that our coaches will place your student in athletic sections of PE. This is not something that the student themselves requests. It's also important to note that our athletic PE classes are throughout the day. So they're not necessarily seventh period. We place them where basically the coach asks us to. Students will choose a math class. Most students, if they're in Math 8, would go into Math 1. And those who are in Advanced Math 8 typically go into Math 2 honors. Science there are 3 choices. There's biology, honors biology, and then there is a biology class at Clovis East for students who want to enroll in ag classes. We pair their elective with this biology and sustainable ag. So they'll need to select one of those 3. And that gives them their 5 core classes. And that leaves room for 1 elective. We'll talk about a few of them now. And also I would refer again to our website for further information. These are the main categories of electives your students can choose from. We have the visual and performing arts classes. You can see those there. If a student's in a band or a choir class already, even in drama, they were preloaded or pre-recommended for those classes here at Clovis High. And so, if a student is not in one of those classes and would like to pursue those, our performing arts groups are always interested in adding new students. We do have a number of languages other than English. You can see these: French, German, Hmong, and Spanish. It is important to note that the student must have a 3.0 GPA minimum. And that is big. We're specifically looking at 8th grade fall semester, 3.0 minimum. And then you can see a variety of other electives here, and we'll talk about a few of them shortly. We have some electives. Sometimes students like to go to Clovis East to take agriculture classes. You can see here there are 3 to choose from: ag science, art and history of floral design, and ag engineering. These again are paired with that biology and sustainable ag. So students who choose to do this will go to Clovis East for 2 periods a day. We do provide bus transportation to and from Clovis East. Also, you'll notice that JROTC is listed here as well. This is an aerospace science class, and it is oftentimes taken for students who are interested in pursuing the military after graduation, though it's not required. And we do pair that class with the biology and sustainable ag as well. AP Human Geography is our one advanced placement class that our incoming freshmen can take. And you'll notice that it has that HP at the end of the title, meaning that this is a weighted grade. Students must have a 4.0 and A's in their academic block classes in order to be eligible. This is a very rigorous college level course. You can see the description here. So students are going to select their elective, their first choice, as well as their alternate in case they don't get their first choice. There are also some options to take a 0 period. So we do offer a 0 period PE, as well as jazz band. We have some 8th period classes. You can see them here: folklorico, marimba, marching band if your student's part of the band. There is an orchestra and a women's ensemble that requires an audition. These 8th period classes are optional. Sometimes students, after they see all of the electives, hope to have 2 electives instead of the typical 1. And sometimes this is possible through taking summer school. And so if a student would like to take health in summer school, there's some stipulations. We're actually pretty selective in who is able to take summer school. Students must have a 3.0 GPA, again, that fall semester of the 8th grade year, and they must have an impacted schedule. So typically what we see as an impacted schedule would be students who are in band, choir, drama, AVID, maybe an ag class or CTE class, plus a language other than English. So if your student is interested in that, they can speak to their counselor when we do the registration to see if they're eligible. It will be at Clovis High School, and health is an independent study class. So this means that students would come weekly to an appointment to meet with their teacher on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And you can see on here the orientation date. So students and parents would go to an orientation on June 7th or 8th. And then they would choose one of those two sessions. You can see there's a session in June and one in July. You'll notice on the registration form, you can indicate your preferred session if you have a camp or a vacation already planned. It's just important to note we will do our best to place in your requested session, but it is not guaranteed. So students, once they've completed the form, they will meet with their counselor on March 30th and 31st in academic block classes. So in the meantime, this evening or over the next couple of days, it's going to be really important that you discuss the course selections with your student so that they're prepared when they meet with their counselor later this week. And that's it. That is the registration process. We thank you for attending, and hopefully you found this to be helpful. Once again, I would like to refer you to our website for more information. And one thing that we did provide both in the email that we sent to families as well, it's available on our website as well, is for incoming freshman registration FAQs. There are some questions that we typically get that you may very well find the answers to on those FAQs. So we would encourage you to check those out. And that is it. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to your Clark counselors. They're able to answer many of the questions that you may have. And if they are not able to answer that, they'll direct them to you. The other thing you can do is send your student with some questions, and we can answer them later this week when we meet with them. Thank you, and have a great evening.